I swore I'd never be that guy that spends serious money on guitar hardware, but here we are. But if your guitar is not staying in tune, it might not be your strings or your nut or even the weather, it might be your tuners developing what we call play. So today I'm swapping out the stock Grover tuners on my 2023 Martin D18 with these high-end Waverly tuning machines. I'm going to talk about why I made this decision and why it might help you if you're looking for an upgrade. My name's Cody, by the way. I studied bluegrass music at ETSU's Bluegrass and Old Time Country Music program. Here on this channel, we're trying to make bluegrass more popular than Taylor Swift. I think we can do it, so subscribe if you agree that bluegrass music is better than hers. Also, if you're looking to learn bluegrass guitar from the ground up, maybe you've always wanted to learn how to pick, but you don't know where to start. Some of the lessons online might seem way complicated. Check out my beginner-friendly bluegrass course down below, Flatpick Foundations, helping hundreds of students around the world wrap their head around this style of guitar. There's also a free mini course down below. Here's what I mean by play. When I turn this tuner, there's a tiny delay here before the string actually moves. You can feel and hear the slack. That's gear wear, and over time, it means that your guitar is going to drift faster out of tune. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I can hear in the comments right now, why in the world would you spend $250+ on tuning machines? But hear me out. Reason one is that there's some weeks where I'm performing 3 to 5 times, and when I have to stop and tune after every song, it's really unprofessional. So I needed a set of trustworthy tuning machines that I could swap out and always use on my main gigging guitar. These Waverlys come with a lifetime guarantee. So if I ever were to develop a bit of play in these, I just send them back to StewMac where I purchased them from, and they'll replace them for me. And reason number two, some of the most well-established guitar builders out there use Waverly tuners. And so I felt confident that they would outperform and outlast the competition and that the higher end purchase price would be justified. Okay, a bit of background and story time here. I originally bought these tuners months and months ago, probably in January of 2025, to go on this Recording King RD328. Had played this one for a while, solid spruce top, Indian rosewood back and sides, an absolute unit of a guitar for the price. I paid $800 for it out the door. I think it's $1,000 now. But one thing you have to understand is that these budget all-wood guitars will use cheaper hardware, so the price is less expensive for you at home. And one of the things that I really disliked about this guitar, probably the only thing that I disliked about the guitar early on, were the tuning machines. I just always had trouble staying in tune. It became a problem, so I bought the tuners, put them on this Recording King, and then shortly after that, I purchased that 2023 Martin that I referenced at the beginning of the video. And over time, much to my dismay, because this is a much more expensive guitar, the stock tuners on the Martin have developed that play. And so it is high time we switch them out and fix it. But before we get to the workbench, let's talk about, at least for me, the main difference that I was looking at between the low end and the high end tuners. The less expensive tuners you're going to see are either 14:1, 16:1, I think maybe 18:1, gear ratio, okay? So what that means is that for every 14 or 16 times that you spin that tuning machine, that head is going to turn 1 time. The higher end are 20:1 gear ratio. So what that means in layman's terms is you're going to get more accurate tuning because each turn is moving that gear just a little bit less. You can dial it in much better and really get that pitch right instead of sounding too flat or too sharp. And I think, in my opinion, this is especially important in a style like bluegrass where you're making heavy use of that capo, which tends to pull certain strings, at least for my guitars, a bit sharp. So this makes a difference. For me, it makes my gigs that much more enjoyable when I'm not worrying about staying in tune. First things first, remove the strings on both guitars. Next step, remove the 12 screws, 2 on each tuner, from the back of the headstock. It goes without saying, don't lose these. The next part can be a bit tricky, but I'm going to show you my solution here in just a second. The goal here is to remove these bushings. I've already done one right here, and we have to push them out this direction. We can't go that direction, and I've made a jig. I'm going to show you how I use it to where we can get these out safely and without messing the headstock up or any of the holes or anything structurally about the headstock of the guitar. I know it's hard to tell, but these bushings only go so far into that hole, and there's a lip that we can use to kind of get this out of it because it's in there pretty tight. So what I've got here is a bolt, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it right in there, and you can see that it catches on the lip of that bushing. That is what we want. First, to get this thing out, I'm putting a piece of cardboard, and the reason I'm doing that is just to protect the headstock from getting any damage from this basically socket I've got here. The cardboard's on, socket goes over that bolt, all right, and that's where you kind of have to have a longer bolt. This one's just long enough, all right, and the other two things I'm going to put on, though you can't see it, are a washer and then my wing nut to get this thing out. Trying my best to show you guys this and really doing the work, but you'll get the idea here, and then I'll repeat this process for the other ones. Let me grab my washer. That goes in. And then, I know you can't see, I'll show you in just a second, the wing nut. And when everything tightens, like you see there, when my fat hand's not in the way, all we have to do is then just tighten that wing nut. There it goes, and boom, I've got that bushing out right there. You can see. And the headstock of the guitar, because we used the cardboard, looks fine. I had to learn that the hard way over here, as you can see. But I'm going to repeat this process for all the bushings here and also the ones on the Martin. Now, next step is we put the bushings back into the Martin. I maybe could have kept the original ones, but I wanted to keep the ones that came with the Waverlys. So that's what I'm going to do. And the way we do this is basically going in reverse of how we got it out, okay? These can sometimes just pop right in there. Some are easier to get in than the others, but you don't want to like force this down with like a hammer because you could mess up the headstock. So what we're going to do is just we're going to have that same idea. We have one bit of difference. So I've just got some cardboard that I'm going to labor in there, and you can see there at the top how there's a bit of overhang. So we've got to force it down that much. Okay, now we have the washer and then the wing nut once again. I'm just going to tighten this wing nut up very slowly while I'm watching that bushing go where it needs to go. I don't want to over tighten it. The bushings on the low end here seem to go in without a problem. Let's see if this last one does. Yeah, I think that one. There we go. Okay, and I am using the original screws from the Martin. Okay, so I'm sitting here tightening up these strings, and I can't help but feel as if this is definitely taking more effort, more turns to get these strings tight where I usually start, tuning them. Yeah! Sounding good, looking good. I do enjoy the look of these tuners. They look a bit more like retro. Tell me what you think about them down in the comment section. Also, if this video is helpful, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out. And, Flatpick Foundations, always open for enrollment. A little bit about my course here. It is made for the picker that thought they could never learn how to play bluegrass music. I made it for the folks in that beginner level that really want to learn how to pick, or maybe you've been playing for a while, but just the bluegrass stuff doesn't make sense. I know from experience because I've been there. A lot of the content online was just too over my head. The books didn't get me anywhere. So I made this course especially for folks that are really trying to get those foundational elements down, learn all the basics, and then you can go on from there. And lifetime access to it that's helping hundreds of students now around the world is going to cost you way less than what you pay for in-person lessons, and you get it for a lifetime. And in a couple short months, you'll really understand a lot of the bluegrass language. You'll be able to sit down confidently in a jam or just amongst your friends and family or making a video online, whatever it might be. So check out Flatpick Foundations if you want to get started. I go nice and slow. You don't have to be a speed demon to learn. You just got to get the right information. So let me know all about it down in the comments. I appreciate everybody watching. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.